This is the second of our tutorials to look at blogging, and it's going to look at how we create a blog. And the one we're going to focus on here is Tumblr, mainly because of its ubiquitous nature and the fact that it's very simple to use. So we're going to log into Tumblr and then we'll start creating a blog. So I'm going to deal with some of this, as I said, in the PowerPoint, and then I'm going to jump into doing it live and so on as well, so you can see the steps involved in both. So the first thing we need to look at when we get into Tumblr is we're going to go up here to the top right here. So I'm just going to jump into the actual blog here, and I'm going to go up here to my settings, which is a little head up here in the top. I'm going to go down to Tumblr about halfway down along and go new. Now, before I actually click on that, I think it's very important for us to figure out exactly what's actually happening here. Within my Tumblr account, I'll have my own feed, which is visible to me. So any blogs that I follow will appear here. The post will appear here on my own feed. On the right hand side, then I can actually choose to create a new blog, which is what I'm going to do here. And that means that, you know, if somebody follows that blog, they don't see all of my posts. They only see the posts that I put out to that particular blog. So it's, I could, if I wanted to have, you know, like when we were talking about Google Ads campaigns, etc., we can have a campaign and we can have several blogs on it if we want to. So we could have a blog which maybe focuses on different regions if we want to, or different languages, or even different audiences if we wanted to. So we can do all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a new Tumblr blog here. And it's a very straightforward process. It asks for a title. So what I've been dealing with all along is the whole idea of walk with me. And then it asks you to create a unique URL. So this is a bit like creating a Gmail account. If it's not available, it's not available. You have to do it an alternative. So I'm going to go with walk. You can't put in spaces in here with me. Now, I'm pretty sure that's not available. I'm pretty sure I own that already and have that, and I'm using that already. So I'm just going to put in dash. It won't allow me to put in a dash. Okay. So I'm going to put in Ireland, okay, and then I can make it password protected if I want to. In my case, I want it to be public, so I'm going to leave it out there like that. On top of that, it hasn't told me whether this is available or not. I really can't go and see whether it's available until I go check blog and so on. So I'm going to go, I'm not a robot, and create blog. And it says the URL is not available. So if I just go, if I say walk with me and put in something, an alternative to that, maybe, you know, walk with me in Ireland. Now, can I just say at this point in time, make sure you read your URL several ways. So, like to a German, this looks like walk with mine Ireland. Okay, so be very careful that, you know, it doesn't read something else in a different language or in a different, you know, the jumble of words together and so on doesn't look slightly different. So be careful. I'm going to walk with mine Ireland. I'm happy enough with that. So I'll see if that's available. And create the blog. And it is. Okay. So that's what I've done. The first thing I've done is I've created a blog called Walk With Me in Ireland. Okay. Up here on top, you'll see my own Tumblr name in a few minutes and the actual URL that it will create from that. At the moment, there's nothing in it. Okay, so I've no posts at all. So what I'm going to do before I actually go into posts is I'm going to have a look at the appearance of this. I'm going to try and change the way it looks and so on, so that if I click on this here, you'll see this is the way my actual page looks at the moment. My blog looks to somebody else, which, let's be honest, is very, very basic. So I'm gonna change these things around, try and make a nice theme about it, and start thinking about the way it looks. Okay. So anytime that we want to see the way a user will see it, we just simply need to click on your logo here, and even the logo itself, which is just a cube with little eyes on it, needs changing. So we'll have a look at that. So for starters, here I have a very basic layout, and we'll talk about what these things mean when I start posting in a few minutes. But before we do, I'm just going to go into edit appearance here for a second, okay? And at any stage I want to, I can go and change my name, and I can change the appearance to something else. So I'm going to edit the appearance here for starters. And like in Facebook and Instagram and all of these other social media channels, we can edit our actual avatar, we can edit our background picture and so on. So I'm just going to choose this, and I'm going to go choose a photograph, right? Now, I have photographs in here under modules, under digital tree, and under blogs. So I have photographs already created in here. So I'm just going to choose something like this here for a second. And I'm just going to go open. All right. And what it does, it puts in my image like this. So I can play around with that if I want to. Okay. Now, obviously, it'll settle it back to certain positions if there's nothing above it or whatever. Okay. So my image is wider than the screen. So I can actually try and say that I'm going to be happy enough with that being the center there. Okay. I can also do this here, which zooms in and zooms out. Now, be very careful with that, because when you put your image in there originally, it's the normal resolution. What you're doing is you're zooming in on this, which, you know, let's be honest, I don't know if you can see it here, but definitely my image is pixelating at this stage here, which is reducing quality. So I don't particularly want that. I'm going to leave it right back up to normal quality there. I'm going to go done. Okay, so that's my background picture. I'm going to pretend for the moment that I'm delighted with it. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to put it back in there. Sorry about that. I was thinking about doing something else there. So okay, leave it at that. Okay, and then done. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an avatar. Now, you've got two options with avatar, show avatar or not. And you've got two shapes, which are square or circular. So I'm just going to go choose a photograph. All right. So I actually have one here, which is already one I've created already, which is this logo here, which is the Walk With Me logo. All right. And as you can see, it's circular. So I'm going to leave it on the circular one there. And I actually made sure it was going to fit the size here and so on. And we'll talk about more about that as we move on through it. Okay. So I'm going to pretend that I'm happy with my background here. I'm going to pretend I'm happy with my logo here. Okay, I'm just going to go save then a second. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to just let you in a little secret. I have created all the content that I'm going to put into my blog already in a Word document, so I won't be typing that much, which is great. Okay, and I'm just going to copy my description here and paste it into here. Okay, so when I go back and I'm going to go edit this, edit appearance, I can put a description in here just below that there. Okay, so you can see what's going on, and any stage you want to, you can see what this looks like, and you can see how well it looks by just clicking on Walk With Me in Ireland, tumblr.com, and it'll bring me to my own page. And that's the way my page looks at the moment. Again, you can see it's slightly pixelated maybe, so I've got to start thinking about the size of my image. I've got Walk With Me and I've got my text below that and so on. So I'm going to go back into blog here for a moment and just see where we're going and how we're getting on. Okay, so blog avatar, show author portrait, don't particularly want that done there, so I move on. I'm going to edit appearance here for a second. Okay, you can, accents in the background means your text, your background, really what color you want them to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my background color. All right, now I'm going to try and tie it in with these colors here and just say something like, we'll say like this. Okay, so be careful with this here for a second, because you know, if I change this to being, we'll say, okay, white, background color being a different color, you can see what effect it'll have on that. So at this stage, you know, if I just go save this and then Just view that there. This will be the color of my page at the moment, okay? So you can see here that this salmony color isn't great there. So what I might want to do is tie that color in with my own theme here. And what I might want to do is I'm going to just use a little website called imagecolorpicker.com. Okay, and the image color picker, the beauty of this is, you know, if somebody has Photoshop or, you know, CorelDRAW or even any decent image package, it will allow you to do that for them. But if you don't have that, this little website will do just a trick for you. So I'm going to upload my image, the image that I've been looking at here, which is in blog posts here and down along here, and it's in here. So Facebook, this one here. Take a second to load, as you can see. And my image is now loaded in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move my cursor over a darker part of this here. Now it's not quite black, but a darker part of this image here, and just click on that there. Now, all I'm doing is picking a color. So you can actually see here, when I move my cursor over the different parts of the image, you'll see the color it's picking, okay? So I've picked one here, and it's called, I'm just going to copy this one here, right? It's 231C08 is the actual hexadecimal color for this. So I'm just going to copy that there. Now all I'm going to do here with this is this, when I go edit appearance, background, I'm going to paste my color in here. You see 231C08, that's the actual color that I've taken from the side of that. So if I save this, and view this here, it ties in with the color of the background there. Okay, so that's important for me to look at and important for me to see. So I can tie in with something bright, something dark. So, but it's following the same kind of a color. You know, it looked darker than that in real life, but that's the actual color that I'm using there. Okay. Now at any stage I can edit the theme here as well, which is quite useful here. So this gives me far more control of my color scheme and my background and so on. Okay, so if I come along here, my description is in there. My title is Walk With Me, which I'm happy enough. Header image is up here, which is fine. Avatar, which is fine, I'm happy enough. Avatar shape, fine. Title. Now I can change, if I change this, you can see here that my actual font up here will change. So I'm just going to have a look and see maybe if there's something that I'd like to try here for a second. Just a street script, all right? So that gives a little bit of a cool looking Walk With Me there, okay? Background color, and again, that's the color I put in there a minute ago. Title color, and I can change my title color to something way lighter, which gives me contrast, which is what I want. Accent color, which are these links here, the hyperlink colors and so on, which is fine too. I don't want those too light or too dark because they'll contrast. They won't contrast with my background. Show header image up here on top. Stretch the header image. All right, so if I just bring that down, it doesn't stretch my image. Okay, so that's the original size of my image there. Okay, so be careful with that. I might actually have a look and see if there's a larger image here. So to replace that with show avatar, which is this one here. Do you want that? Show title, okay, and so on. Show description and post and so on. So that's my theme. Now we're going to have a look at a few other themes later on when we're close to completion of this. But at the moment, I'm just going to save with this for a second here. Saving away here at the moment, and then I exit. And it brings me back in here. So we're getting a kind of a color scheme going. So you can see now with this, if I look at my page, that's the way it looks. It's a color scheme that, you know, that at least we're being consistent with our scheme there, okay? So I'm just going to go back to edit the appearance there. I'm going to see if this image just happens to have a larger version of it, maybe it might be really what I'm looking for here. This one here might do me a better job here. Not really, but I'm going to go back to edit the theme here for a second. I'm just going to change the properties to do with my image again. Okay, I'm going to save that in there. I'm going to say I'm happy enough with that. Okay, and then exit. And it brings me back here to this. Now, while we're at this, I'm just going to, all right, that's much better. It's tying in with that there. Very nice. Okay. So I'm going to just shut down a few of these here because they're starting to open up too many windows up here at the top. Okay. So I'll just fly down to the rest of these ones here. Can reply. Everyone can reply. Members can reply. Only members can reply. The whole idea of a blog is that it's Web 2.0. It's interactive. It's engaging. It allows people to interact with us and to deal with what we're trying to do. So all of that's available to us, which is great. Okay, so everyone can reply. Now, the only problem with everyone can reply is that they can reply anonymously. So be very careful with that. So if you want to maybe restrict this for a little while until things get going and you understand what's going on, you might say members in Tumblr following you for a week can reply. At least it can't be anonymous and so on. So that's maybe a better way to deal with that there now. Let people ask questions, okay? Again, this can be something that can be switched on and off, but quite often when you're dealing with a blog like this, you might want to say to yourself, hold on a second, I actually want people to ask me questions maybe through a different forum, or I want to control the conversation on this particular one. So you might say, yes, switch it on or switch it off. This is automatically switched off, okay? Let people submit posts. I would normally leave that off, so that means that you're controlling the conversation and so on. Only allow messages from Tumblrs you follow, fair enough, okay? Advertising on blog advertising, affiliated links, okay? Queuing, right, when it comes to queuing, we're talking about, you know, in this case, automatic publish a queued post 2 times a day between 12 a.m. and 12 a.m. the next day, okay? So you're saying 2 times a day. You can change this if you want to up to 50 times a day, okay? And that means that it'll queue posts. The reason people queue posts is that they might want to check them before they actually go live. Okay, so if you say 2 times a day or once a day, it means that the post will be queued at that time, and you can view the post before that, take out what you don't want, and so on. If you want it to be more, live, you'll go with the 50 times a day, and you'll say whatever. Okay, share on Twitter. Now this is very cool, in that everything you post here, it will if you click on this, will automatically go onto Twitter. We'll also show you later on in the course how, or in Digital 4, how we can put our actual Tumblr up onto our website, and from there we can share it with many, many different types of digital channels. So, you know, share on Twitter, it will ask us to log into Twitter here, okay? So that means that every single post that we click on here and we add to here will automatically go onto our Twitter account as well, okay? English, fine, as the language. Now, this is an important one here as well. Where do you want your time zone to be set? You either want it to be set in your own time zone or in your audience's time zone. And in many cases, your audience might have several time zones. So quite often, if that was the case, you would set it in your own time zone. Visibility. Hide Walk With Me Tumblrs will be viewable within the Tumblr dashboard, so it can only be, viewable there. These are switched off, as you can see, password and visibility. So therefore, it's visible to everybody. You haven't blocked anybody, and it's not password protected. So I've gone through that fairly quickly, but really there's 2 or 3 in the middle here, which are all about how people can engage with you and how often they can engage with you and what control you have over their level of engagement. That they're all very important, okay? So at the moment, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm happy enough with this. Here's my my blog, the way it's looking. Now, at the moment, I haven't got 1 ounce of posts or content in it, really. So I'm just going to go back here and just have a look, walk with me, and then I'm going to go back to posts here, okay? So at the moment, I have no posts, all right? Now, with these kind of things here, this is so simple. And if anybody downloads the the Tumblr blog, this is really, really straightforward as well. You'll see the exact same icons appearing. The reason that I like to use this in class is because of this simplicity, okay? Now, just because it says text, it doesn't mean you can't add an image in here. And just because it says photograph doesn't mean you can't add text. But these are the main types of posts you want to put in here. So if I just simply click on text, the first thing it asks me for is a title. Now, it prompts you for these because these are good from a a search engine perspective. It's good from a visibility and an optimization perspective. So really what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in, again, here's one I prepared earlier, and I'm going to just take welcome to Walk With Me blog. Okay, so that's my title here. And your text here, okay? Now, that's a very simple welcome text, okay? Now, there's a hashtag in the bottom here which says hashtag tags, okay? Now, I'm going to put in hashtag always tag, all right? Now, that looks ridiculous at the moment, but really that is, from a class perspective, you should always tag your posts, because if you don't tag them, only your followers can see them. If you do tag them, at least the hashtag you're using could be searchable by other followers or other people online, and they might come across it and they might like your blog, and on you go from there, and you're building your readership. To be quite honest, if you're not tagging, you're saying you're content with your followership as at present. So I would always tag. The other thing is, how many tags should we use? Now, when it comes down to something like this, there's no magic number, but quite often people are using one tag, and they might put in, like for instance, a very, very simple tag that I should be using with every single one of my posts is Walk With Me. So I'm tagging my own brand, and we can use several tags, and they're arguing that we should be using up to about 8 or 9 tags. So think about not only your keywords, but also your keyword phrases. Also think about, what might grow your audience, what might bring people into this. So if you're talking about something today which is, something unusual to you, make sure that you're including that in there along with your own ones as well. So don't always try and go for the crazy tags that are going to go viral, because let's be honest, who knows what goes viral. So always use what I would count business tags, or good strong keywords in there. But if you want to throw in a couple of ones that are searching for viral tagging, by all means go ahead and do that. But don't forget your business tags, don't forget your brand, don't forget what you're trying to do, okay? Finally, posts. Post now, add to queue, save the draft, post privately, or schedule. Now, they're all fairly straightforward here, okay? So I'm going to post now. Add to queue means that it will be queued up, and the next time my post will go out, it will go with, mine's 50 times a day, but if it was twice a day, it would be maybe 12 in the morning, 12 in the evening, something like that. The whole idea is, it's about us trying to find exactly who we're dealing with and our audience, and what time they will be accessing our blog at. So it's trying to launch them at the right time, so that even on things like Twitter, that we're not getting lost in the mix with everybody else and so on. But also we know when our audience are live and when they're thinking about accessing. So I'm going to post now, and that's my very first welcome post. If I click on Walk With Me, you can see what the user will see, and this is what they'll see. And at the bottom, they'll see, the whole idea of retagging, liking, commenting, and so on. Okay, binning it, of course, and editing it from my perspective. Okay, so that's my very first post. What I'm going to do is quickly go through a number of these. Okay, so the second post I'm going to put up here will be, I'm going to be looking at images. Okay, so I'm going to come along here and post a number of images. So when you go post photograph here, you'll see upload photograph, or you can add from a website. So I'm going to upload a photograph here, and again, my photographs are here. I'm going to click on this one here. My advice would always be, when you're actually putting up an image, to make sure you've named it correctly. Mine is called C5, which is not a good name, okay? But it's very important that we name each image correctly, and we think about different things that we want to put into it and so on. So I'm going to just click on this one, and this one here. And my 3 images are there. I can shuffle them around if I want to. If I can, just put them in 3 different ways like that, okay? So add another image, add a caption, always good. in any case, I didn't mention this the last time, when I'm typing my text, I can add an image, I can add a video, a GIF, you know, and a more, read more section, okay? So, walk with me in Glendalough, okay? Hashtag walk with me. Hashtag Garden of Ireland. Hiking Ireland, and so on. So I can keep going with these, okay? And you can see what I'm doing here. So it's so simple to post up something like that, okay? So as you can see, it goes in chronological order, pushed my older post down a little bit, okay? So I'm going to go with the next one here and just keep going for a few minutes here, okay? So the next one I'm going to do, I have a whole lot of text there. I'm going to put up an actual video text, okay? So video here. Add a video from the web is what I want to do. And paste the URL. The URL is there, okay? Paste my caption. Now, this is the 7 County Wicklow, County Mayo, sorry. Not one for the faint-hearted, okay? So I'm going to put in, again, hashtag walk with me. Hashtag County Mayo, or Mayo. And I can go mad and I can add other ones, of course. So it's very important that I'm consistent with my tagging, but I tag well every time. So I'm going to post this. So you see how simple it is to put a video up here, put images up here, put, you know, I can put audio up here, put text up here. All very straightforward, okay? Anything else we need to go down the lock? Yeah, okay. We'll just add this one here, actually. I'm going to come in here with a link here. And the link that I'm going to add here is a link to a file, okay? And I'm going to paste the URL in. All right, so you can see it here. It's having to think about this for the moment and entering a title. So my title here is going to be Block Trails. And while I'm at it here, I'm going to actually add an image to this just to show you how straightforward it is, okay? And the image I'm going to add is this one here, which is the walking trails. It's actually what we're going to be getting in the link, okay? So, and then post this. Now, what I get with this is exactly what we expect the link. So when I click on this, it will bring me to a PDF of Glendalough trails, and you can see this, and you can actually download the trails, and off I go. So it works out very, very well. It works out, you know, still loading here, obviously, but nearly there. Here we are now. Okay, so we can see that it's kind of like a, you know, a list of the different trails that you can walk around Glendalough, and some of them are spectacular. Well, I'm going to say all of them are spectacular, but anyway, you get the idea. So I can put down, you know, a little bit more something for everybody there, and I can play around with that. Anything else we want to add here? No, I'm going to say I'm happy enough with this, okay? So what we've done is we've added text, photographs, quote is just a quote, link, and video. So you can see how very straightforward the whole process is. Now, if I just go back here for a second and just have a look at how it looks to a user of mine, that's what they see. They'll see this appearing like this down along, which is very nice and very simple. I just want to go back to edit appearance here for a second. Now that I have a bit of content in here, I think it's important that I go back into my edit theme scenario here as well. And I just want to just show you one or two little options you can go in there. And if I go, this is the normal theme or the simple, the most default theme here. So if I go edit theme here, I won't go in there to play around with it, but browse themes I'll go into, okay? And what you'll get here is you'll see some of these are paid themes. Now I'm not expecting anyone to go and get a paid theme, but just say I just click on here for a second and I say free themes here. So we can see the different options that are free to us. And just wait for them to load here a second. I'm going to move down along here and hopefully it'll show up fairly soon. Here they are here. What's nice about these is that some of them allow different columns. All right. So in the case of this one here, for instance, if I choose this one, you'll see what it does to my screen. It actually breaks it up, mixes it up a little bit, and just kind of, so my posts are appearing, but they're not appearing in a kind of a lateral way. They're adding a little bit of variety to it. And there's a lot of themes here that will allow you to do that. And you can play around with even the ones that are there. You can actually modify them a little bit and play around with them. So if I use this particular theme, this will be the one that will be used throughout, and I can apply that and so on. So again, if I use this and I don't like it, I can always go back and go back to the original one. So, it's just showing you their options there that kind of make it look a little bit, I suppose, sexier in certain ways. Okay, so there's certain things we can do there. I'm just going to jump back to my my PowerPoint a second because I want to actually just talk about one or two other things. A lot of these things I'm just going to skip through because they're the steps that I took, showing you what to do, where to go, and how to add different things and so on. Okay, now one of the things I just want to mention is this Be Funky here. Okay, now with Be Funky, I'm just going to go into this website for a second. Now this is actually a very simple little website, but again is useful to people that maybe don't have Photoshop and don't have any kind of decent image editor downloaded on their computer. Now what I'm going to say about this is I'm going to start a new one here. So I'm going to open up an image here. So from my computer I'm going to grab an image here, Glendalough, County Wicklow, this one, let's say the one I've been dealing with here. Okay, so I've got this image here. Now, what I can do with this is I can crop it, I can resize it, I can play around with it, I can add titles to it. The great thing about Be Funky, it does all this in a very simple way. So if I go crop, literally I can do this. Look, I can turn around and say, I actually want to try to get, I don't want too much sky. I'm going to try and get this amount here in the middle. So I can actually choose something like that, okay? So I can crop my image to that. And I just simply go yes or no, all right? Portrait, landscape, play around with these. This shows your dimensions. So if you want to resize something, which we will be doing, when you get to things like Instagram, when you get to Twitter, when you get to Facebook and all of these other channels, they require that your avatars or your icons, your imagery is a certain size. So this is a very simple tool to use it. Now, of course, if somebody has Photoshop, by all means, go ahead and use that. But in this case here, it's very, very simple to use Be Funky. It's free and you can play around with these things. So I'm just going to cut that down there to that. There's my image now. So it's a step further on. I'm going, great. I can resize it by just simply changing the dimensions. At the moment, I'm locking the aspect ratio. So if I make it wider, it will automatically keep its dimensions and make it taller as well. Okay. Now, remember, when I make something bigger than it already is, an image bigger than it already is, it will pixelate and decrease in value and decrease in resolution. So, in quality, I should say. So, in your case, be careful with that. Rotate it and so on. Okay, so I can play all of these. Now, what I want to do here is a very simple little thing. I'm going to add a little bit of text. Okay, so I'm going to add text. And the text I'm going to add here is just simply going to be walk with me. Okay, and as you can see, my text at the moment is difficult to read because it's kind of dark on dark. So what I can do with this is I can turn around here and change my font to being lighter. Okay, so I can do that, or I can put a background on it. All right, so if I put a background on that, it means that that I can do this, and I can actually put my text in the middle of it, and I can round my background and so on, play around with the view of it and so on. So I'm going to pretend I don't want a background. Well, I don't particularly want a background on it. So I can bring down the intensity of it. Okay, so that means it makes it more translucent. Okay, so I don't want a background in mine, so I'm going to pretend I'm happy enough with that. Okay, so I'm going to click on this text again, outline. That means an outline on the outside of the box that it's in there, highlight. And obviously I can change things around. So opacity, which makes it look, I can fade in and out my text as well. And I can, all about the positioning of it and so on. Okay, so now without saying it, I can change the size of it, I can change the color of it, you know, and spacing of my letters. And of course I can change my font. Okay, so if I wanted this one here, I can go with that one there. Or if I, you know, I'm going to go with the Harrington because I did play around with it before a little bit easier. Now, what I'm going to do last here is I'm going to make sure that my font is centered. So I'm going to just highlight my entire, you know, I'm after spreading my, I'm after spreading my actual placeholder to the full width of the screen, then it's going to go center. So it puts Walk With Me in there. I'm going to bring Walk With Me a little bit bigger, okay, so you can see. And then I'm just going to save it. It's called Glenblock, County Wicklow, 2020. And then save it as a JPEG. Size, I can save it as a PNG or a JPEG or a PDF. These two are the ones that will be available and usable online. PDF will be, but not in the way you want it to be. So these are two images, and then save. Okay. And there's my image. Okay, so if I wanted to now at this stage and go back to my Tumblr account and I wanted to put Walk With Me here. Now, it might be a little bit of overkill to have Walk With Me here, here, and here, but if I wanted to edit the appearance and then edit this one here, and where I saved that, believe it or not, would you believe that? Anyway. I'm going to go back to Be Funky to see where I actually saved this. Oh, I probably saved it into my downloads actually. Yeah, there it is there, okay. In fact, there it is there. So what I'm going to do is just pop back in here. I'm going to use the one from my download. Apologies for that. Choose this file. Downloads. And that's the one I just created. Okay, so of course you can use that one, or you can go back to the one you've just used. Okay, so I'm going to just say, pretend I'll use this one here and save it. And then when you preview this, this is what you have. Your address is now walkwithmeireland.tumblr.com. Okay, and you can see my posts are all appearing like that. So, and if I wanted to, I can change the theme of this so it actually looks a little bit, you know, funkier if I want to. Okay, just going back to my PowerPoint, just make sure I've covered everything I wanted to cover here. Color pickers, yeah, okay. Walk With Me, the theme. Okay, right. To finalize here, we're going to talk about a couple of blog tips before we finish up. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. First one is make sure you've added value. That's simply it. Added value for who? Added value for your customer and your user. Make sure you add inspiration, education, entertainment. Keep those things going. People love lists. They love top fives, top tens. They love why, what, hows, comparisons, all of these kind of things. So, you know, give them added value. Always optimize for SEO. Think about your keywords and how you're going to actually use your text throughout. Proofread. It's amazing how many people don't do this. Okay, make sure that you're when you type something in that you read it once, you read it twice, and you read it 3 times before you send it. You can always edit it, but remember that once you send it, if you've linked to Twitter, it's gone, it's out there. Okay, and you can't edit one of those. Link to your other content. So don't be shy in saying, like I said before here, oh, in tutorial whatever, or on my post on whatever day I've done this. Don't be afraid to kind of just, to give yourself a leg up, okay? Create multiple pinnable images. Images are good. Make sure you tag them properly. Encourage readership engagement, okay? Ask for follows, ask for likes, ask for shares. Ask questions. Try and get commentary. So, these are very, very important to a blog. Keep your text light and legible, okay? So don't try to be too smart about how you lay out stuff. Add a freebie, all right? People love free stuff. So even if it's a PDF that somebody, has read before, don't be shy. People love it. Link to external content, okay? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you like somebody else's stuff and whatever, link to them and hopefully they'll link to you. Right, finally, blog essential elements. Write an eye-catching title and a headline, okay? Start off strong. Open with a bang, that's exactly the same thing. Use engaging images, all right? So it's very important to not be staid. Think about excitement. Think about all these wonderful things we can do. Proper post segmentation. Break them up properly. Make everything as social media friendly for sharing and liking. Use your own voice. And use call to actions. Don't be afraid to say, listen, download, like, share, register, buy. Don't be afraid to say those things. Finally, your blog assessment template. Your blog assessment template is available up online, and it's up on the website. Go into the download section and you'll see blog assessment template. And really what I'll see in there is the purpose of your concept, the rationale for your concept, the background of your concept, the audio, and then your URL. So what it's doing is telling me why you're creating your blog, okay? Why you're doing, what's your concept, all right? So you've decided on your concept. You have to tell me about it so I can see if your blog is actually servicing it properly. So that's very important from your assessment perspective. Previous blog assessments, here's a number of them here. So you can see here, these are ones from last year. Dublin Getaways, Galway Getaways, Dublin Nightlife, Unique Dublin, Loving Salzburg, all of those. And they're available again to download, and there's links to them up on the example section on the website as well. So go and have a look at them because some of them are excellent, okay?